Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: Indiana University's Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, presenting Security Matters, with tips for improving online security in 3 minutes or less.
Smithville Communications, serving Southern Indiana with high-speed fiber gigabit internet. Smithville Fiber Gigabit Technology. Tap the power.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk, it's called the greatest spectacle in racing. The Indianapolis 500 is this weekend.
Unfortunately, everybody is not here just for the race, but there is a large demand for sex.
With any large event, there's an increase in sex trafficking. Ahead, we follow a group of volunteers as they canvass Indianapolis trying to raise awareness. In part 2 of our series on transgender youth, the costs of transitioning and the risks associated with it.
We want to make sure that our clients are ready, that they have the coping skills they need and understands it so they're not doing something that's potentially not reversible.
Plus, ahead of Memorial Day, we introduce you to a veteran who's being honored for his decades of service.
I have my own hero. I have my own veteran, and I'm very proud of him.
Those stories and a look at this week's headlines right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Hello, I'm Joe Wren, and welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. People from all over the world are descending on Indiana for this weekend's Indianapolis 500. The race brings hundreds of thousands of people to the Circle City, including those who are trafficking young girls. It comes as a surprise to many, but 83% of sex trafficking victims are U.S. citizens. Volunteers and the Attorney General's office have been working to get out in front of the problem. Sarah Whitmire reports on their efforts to raise awareness and the battle they're up against.
It's called the greatest spectacle in racing. The Indianapolis 500 is right up there with the Super Bowl in terms of prestige and excitement. 400,000 spectators will fill the track and the infield. But there's a dark side to the race, one that pops up not just around the Indy 500, but lots of large events.
It isn't, the sporting event per se. It's any kind of large event that attracts a lot of men and a party atmosphere. That's what you're looking for in terms of the statistical increase in demand for commercial sex and therefore danger for human trafficking.
It was something the Attorney General's office really began focusing on in 2012. The Super Bowl was coming to town. Figures from the 2010 Super Bowl in Miami estimated 10,000 prostitutes were brought in. Indiana's legislature quickly moved to strengthen the state's laws, making it illegal for anyone to arrange for someone to participate in a forced sexual act, and made it easier to prosecute people who sold children into sexual slavery. They distributed tens of thousands of pieces of awareness materials. Ultimately, police made 68 commercial sex arrests, and 4 potential human trafficking victims were identified and recovered.
She came from like a middle upper class family.
Today we're going out and we're going to give out information on sex trafficking to local hotels. The Indy 500 will bring several people into the city from not just the United States but from the world. And unfortunately, everybody is not here just for the race, but there is a large demand for sex.
The packets include information on what to look for in regard to sex trafficking, as well as the national hotline they can call if they suspect someone might be a victim. Then there's the soap.
We're offering soap to the hotel room so that maybe someone that is possibly a part of human trafficking, sex trafficking, they will get that bar of soap, and it will have the number of the human trafficking, the national human trafficking number, where they can call, or if someone is suspecting someone of being human or sex trafficked.
Today, overall, everybody was pretty receptive. The last hotel that we went to, they didn't necessarily say they could put the soap bars out as part of their hotel policy, that it had to have the brand name on the soap bars. But they still took a bag of them and said, you know, just for purposes of awareness and giving them to housekeeping and having the number readily available.
The average age in the U.S. that someone is forced into the commercial sex industry is 12 to 14. And according to the U.S. Department of State, nearly 300,000 American youth are at risk of becoming victims of commercial sex exploitation. Those at risk include kids who've been through traumatic events such as physical abuse, parents who suffer from alcoholism, domestic violence.
Because it's almost like a vicious circle where we should really look and help children who live in a family where there is abuse, and help them, you know, psychologically through therapy and counseling, because these children really are the most vulnerable population.
If they don't get help and they run away, their odds of being sucked into the commercial sex industry are quite high. Data shows within 48 hours of running away, they will be approached by a trafficker.
It's just very important that we as a society start to recognize that this is really the human rights abuse of our age, and that something needs to be done, and that something is a societal sea change in terms of our attitudes toward the damage that commercial sex does.
Sarah Whitmire joins us once again for more. Sarah, as you reported, the focus in the Super Bowl and the Indianapolis 500 was sex trafficking, but then there's also human trafficking. It seems like that they could be used at the same time, but they're different.
You're right. I think most people do use them interchangeably. It's just people don't realize there's a difference between human trafficking and sex trafficking. But human trafficking is actually a much bigger thing, and within human trafficking is sex trafficking. I think most people, when they think human trafficking, they think women who are held in brothels in Thailand, or young girls who are held as sex slaves. But in reality, it's the second largest criminal industry in the world, and it affects something like 27 million people, human trafficking. So sex trafficking, labor trafficking, all fit within inside human trafficking. And really, the distinguishing factor is this idea of human exploitation. People who are being held in some capacity without their ID, without a passport. That's been taken from them, and someone is holding on to it until they complete whatever service for whatever period of time, and you know, it's not returned until they've done this service. And that's kind of the distinguishing factor, I guess, in all of this.
You talked about the Super Bowl a few years ago, but is human trafficking new in Indiana? It seems like you don't hear much about it until these big events happen.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's something we've heard a lot about until recently, but I think it was 2005 that the Indiana Attorney General established IPATH, which is this task force. It's the Indiana Protection for Abused and Trafficked Humans. And Indiana really started focusing on this. It did seem like right around the Super Bowl, really looking at the laws they had in place and if they were enough and what loopholes needed to be closed. And then, of course, the legislature got involved and did pass a number of rules to really strengthen Indiana's laws. It's really interesting. In talking to the Attorney General's office, they compare human trafficking to what domestic violence used to look like 20 years ago. And the reasoning is interesting because they say 20 years ago, people didn't want to talk about domestic violence. They say, you know, if that was going on at your neighbor's house, that was your neighbor's issue. Or even if it was going on in your own house, it was kind of just something that was taboo. And they say human trafficking is the same thing. It's something that's so ugly and hard to get our heads around that people don't want to talk about it. I think the good news is they say the tide's starting to shift a little, but certainly a lot more needs to be done to raise awareness.
Thanks, Sarah, for that report.
Thank you.
Now for headlines, we go over to Alex Dirkman, who has an update on this week's top stories.
Thanks, Joe. Individuals without teacher licenses could start teaching in the classroom. The State Board of Education last week moved forward with a proposal to create a new permit that would allow eligible applicants to teach without formal training. Groups opposed to the new teacher licensing permit say the proposed permit is a pathway to putting unprepared people in front of a classroom. But there are strict standards to get the new permit. Applicants would be required to have a bachelor's degree and a 3.0 GPA, pass a test in the subject area they want to teach, have at least 3 years of workplace experience, and take their teacher training after they're hired. Indiana has a new drug to carry out executions. There's a global shortage of the drug pentothal, which traditionally has been used in a number of states, including Indiana, for lethal injection procedures. When it fell into short supply, states went searching for alternatives. The new drug is called Brevidol. An Indiana Department of Corrections spokesman says it's the same class as the one Indiana used to use and accomplishes the same thing. There are 13 inmates on Indiana's death row, but no executions are scheduled. Indiana hasn't executed an inmate since December 11th of 2009. Indiana's 4 largest cities, Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, Evansville, and South Bend, have experienced significant population shifts over the past 3 years. Indianapolis alone gained an average of more than 7,000 residents. South Bend still saw a population decrease, but the drop was much smaller than the decline it has typically seen over the past decade. The study from the Indiana Business Research Center concludes most Hoosiers live in cities and towns and account for nearly 80% of Indiana's population growth from 2010 to 2013. 3 of 4 Columbus Parks board members and the former parks director are resigning. Former director Ben Wagner submitted his resignation earlier this week. He's leaving his current position as the parks marketing coordinator at the end of the month. Columbus Mayor Kristen Brown demoted Wagner late last year, claiming he mishandled the parks budget and improperly used city credit cards. Some parks board members and city council members have since questioned those claims. And parks board members say they're now resigning because they don't feel they are effectively working with the mayor and don't have the authority over Parks Department employees. The mayor is in charge of appointing all of their replacements. Neither she nor Wagner returned calls for comment. Today is the last day of school for students at Duggar Elementary and Union Junior High School in Duggar, but they will not return in the fall. Declining enrollment led to decreased funding, and in December, the Northeast School Corporation Board voted to close both schools because they couldn't afford to keep them open. Community members submitted a charter application, but it was denied. Many students and parents have said they will likely transfer out of the district rather than attend the rival high school within the district. A new report from the Indiana Chamber of Commerce shows school counselors are doing very little counseling with students. 426 teachers were surveyed, and about half said they spent less than a quarter of their time helping students prepare for college and future jobs. Instead, the counselors report they spend most of their time doing tasks not suited to their skills, such as monitoring lunch and substitute teaching. Chamber officials say the solution isn't more counselors, but more involvement from parents and teachers in promoting college and career readiness. The Indiana man who leads the University of Maine is being tapped to become Ball State University's 15th president. Paul Ferguson was raised and educated in California. He's been the president of the University of Maine since 2011 and will take over at Ball State on August 1st. The welcome sign to Bedford proudly claims the city as the limestone capital of the world, but news that the largest limestone employer in the area went bankrupt and is now transitioning to new owners is causing some concern about the industry. Bedford Mayor Shauna Gurgis says limestone production rides the flow of the economy.
I think there's always a concern whenever you see the economy suffer. Traditionally, limestone is utilized on larger structures, major construction projects. Whenever you see those things impacted in a negative way, the limestone industry is also affected.
However, Gurgis says the industry is still very active and important to the area. The company's website touts Indiana Limestone Company as the largest limestone quarrier and fabricator in North America. Indianapolis was considered the underdog, but this week the Circle City was the first to be eliminated as a site for the 2018 Super Bowl. The NFL selected Minneapolis as the 2018 game site. When Indianapolis hosted Super Bowl 46 in 2012, an economic analysis showed nearly $152 million in increased spending by visitors from outside Indianapolis. Officials haven't said if or when they'll pursue another Super Bowl bid. This weekend is the unofficial kickoff of summer, but you won't be able to enjoy the beaches at Monroe Lake. The Fairfax and Paynestown beaches are largely underwater. Due to high rainfall in recent months, the Army Corps of Engineers had to hold more water in the Monroe Lake Reservoir to prevent flooding communities further down the White River. The DNR plans to open the beaches once the Corps is able to safely release the extra water into the reservoir at about a rate of 4 to 5 inches a day. Boating ramps are still open this weekend and people may still swim from their boats, but officials caution though that the high water levels could conceal dangerous debris and unexpected drop-offs. Bloomington officials are doubtful they will meet this year's Bikeways Initiative deadlines. The project aims to improve bikeways and trails in the city. A number of departures inside City Hall, including the resignation of the former city engineer in charge of the Bikes project, are being blamed for the delays. The city is working to reassign the Bikes project. In the meantime, the department is focusing on keeping larger construction projects on schedule. Since its inception, the Bikeways project has doubled the miles of bikeways and trails in the city. And a driving trail that will link baseball landmarks along the I-64 corridor together opens in less than 2 weeks. It's called the Heartland Historic Baseball Trail. The trail begins at the Louisville Slugger Museum and then crosses into southern Indiana. It includes stops at the League Stadium in Hintonburg, Indiana Baseball Hall of Fame in Jasper, the Gil Hodges mural in Petersburg, Gil Hodges Field in Princeton, and Bosse Field in Evansville. And Joe, the launch of the trail will be officially May 30th, just before the start of the Du Bois County Bombers home opener.
And there's going to be plenty of baseball to go around in Indiana. You got the Hoosiers in postseason, and the Terre Haute Rec start in about a week.
Yes,
Thanks,
it's the season.
Alex. Yes, it is. Coming up next on Indiana News Desk. Young adults are trying to find ways to pay for the counseling, hormones, and surgeries it takes to change their gender. Why insurance doesn't cover the expense and what that means for 2 Indiana residents. Decades after he was exposed to the toxic chemical Agent Orange, a local veteran is being recognized for his military service. Those stories right here on Indiana News Desk.
We are a nation of explorers. We seek new ways of living, of thinking, and of expressing ourselves. We take risks, we learn from experience, and we keep moving forward. That's why we encourage and celebrate the explorer in all of us.
I'm Bill Moyers. I was coming up out of the subway the other day when a fellow stopped me and said, "I don't like what's happening in the country, but there's nothing I can do about it." I told him I don't buy it. There's a lot you can do. First, get the facts, and then get involved with other people who are trying to change things. Start with Moyers & Company and take it from there. Could be the best hour you spend this week.
Friday night at 11.
Welcome back to Indiana News Desk. I'm Joe Wren. Last week we met Kaylee and Drake, 2 young transgender people living in Indiana who are in the process of physically becoming the gender they identify with. It's called transitioning and requires years of work and tens of thousands of dollars. Sometimes these services are covered by insurance, but as Taylor Killow reports in part 2 of our series, more than likely the burden falls solely on the patient.
This is a binder. It's like a double type mesh here. It's got 2 layers to help basically compress the chest a little bit more.
Drake Eilert is female to male transgender. He regularly wears a binder to compress chest tissue.
There are a lot of risks to it over time. They only recommend about 8 hours a day. Less is better. It can be physically uncomfortable for breathing. You do not want to sleep up with it. If you sleep, your breathing slows down and it'll compress your chest more and can cause actual pain when you wake up.
Drake says many transgender youth, including a number of his friends, aren't out to their parents and can't afford binders on their own. So they use things such as duct tape or ACE bandages to suppress their chest tissue.
Those can actually lead to the breaking down of your ribs.
Drake has been lucky. His family supports his transition both emotionally and financially.
He's my child. It's going to bring me to tears. I'd throw myself in front of a train for my kids. I would give them, my last breath. I want him to be complete. I want him to be happy, whole. And this is who he's meant to be.
One of the first times I got to wear a tie was for my senior pictures.
When Drake told his mother the truth about who he was, the two came up with a plan. If Drake wanted to transition, Sheila wanted to make sure he did it safely. The World Professional Association for Transgender Health publishes standards of care that provide best practices for transitioning. The first step is counseling, so Drake and his mom went to Indianapolis therapist Becky Bickle.
We want to make sure that our clients are ready, that they have the coping skills they need, that they really understand what this is going to do to their body, what this is going to do for them socially, legally, all of those sorts of things. So the therapist role is just to help them think through this and make sure everyone's on the same page and understands it, so they're not doing something that's potentially not reversible.
Once the counselor establishes a patient is transgendered, they recommend them to begin hormone therapy. Drake began taking testosterone just before high school graduation. After about a year and a half of living as his preferred gender, the next step now is top surgery, which Drake has scheduled later this month.
It's definitely, I think, freeing almost. After, I came out, I think, when I was 17, and after 17 years of keeping that inside, it was like, I can be who I am.
It's more difficult for males trying to make the transition to female. Testosterone adds masculine features to a body that can be hard to reverse. Kaylee Renner is 26 and drives a cab in Bloomington. She realized she wanted to transition 3 years ago, and she already felt like it was too late.
I feel like I'm too old. 26 doesn't seem old, but you're past puberty. Testosterone has done things to your body.
But Kaylee realized transitioning was the only way for her to beat depression.
The future is just this black, there's just nothing. It's not even there. You can't even contemplate tomorrow. But now this is something that I need to do, and I can see the end goal, and it's something I'm really striving for.
So Kaylee began the process. She sought counseling, started taking hormones, and scheduled surgeries. A major part of transitioning from male to female is facial feminization surgeries.
All of the most common surgical procedures, male to female, would be combinations of a forehead lift with a hairline advancement, hair transplants to give a more feminine hairline. As part of the brow lift, often we'll do a bony reduction of the bossing of the forehead, the full thick forehead that many men have. Then we'll usually do their eyelid surgery, feminize the nose with a rhinoplasty. Very commonly we'll put in some cheek implants, chin implants, and then do a neck lift.
Facial feminization surgeries alone can cost between $30,000 and $70,000, depending on the doctor and how many surgeries are needed. Together, top and bottom surgeries for male to female cost about $30,000. So the total cost of transition for Kaylee could be upwards of $100,000. As a young adult, Kaylee was covered under her parents' insurance plan, but her family didn't welcome the transition for many reasons.
And to them, it was this huge blow from left field. They, the old argument of, we didn't see evidence of this when you were a child, you're kind of making this up, this is a chosen lifestyle, this is not who you are.
So when Kaylee's parents found out she was using their insurance to pay for counseling, hormones, and consultations, they dropped her from the plan just days before her scheduled surgeries.
It went back to the depression I was in before, just worse, because it was so real. It was like it was about to happen, and then it was just gone.
Kaylee was left to pay for services on her own. She also no longer had access to counseling and hormones, leaving her to purchase the drugs on the black market.
You can't be sure what you're getting is the real thing, or we'll say fresh and not past its expiration date, or the sources.
For now, the one glimmer of hope Kaylee sees is the Affordable Care Act, which covers counseling and hormones if she can afford the right plan. But the Affordable Care Act doesn't cover any transgender procedures because they are still considered elective and not medically necessary.
Kaylee hopes to raise money for her surgeries by working and applying for aid through various foundations. If you or someone you know is questioning their gender, there are a number of support groups and services available. You can find links to all these groups on our website at WTIUnews.org. Monday is Memorial Day, a day to remember the men and women who have died while serving in the military. But it's also a day to remember the people who have given up years of their lives and sometimes their health for their country.
Charles Acton is a Vietnam vet. He served 2 tours and spent 20 years in the military. His wife Cheryl says wartime changed his course of life.
When he was in Vietnam, I was still playing with dolls But I said I have my own hero. I have my own veteran, and I'm very proud of him.
Charles was exposed to Agent Orange in Vietnam. He's quadriplegic and suffers from COPD, or chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, PTSD, and Parkinson's. For 8 years, he's been bedridden.
We make the best of it, and he's very happy. He tells me all the time, I'm happy, don't you? Mm-hmm. He tells me all the time he's happy. And I'm just thankful, you know, I'm proud of him.
Cheryl requested volunteers with the Quilts of Valor Foundation to make a quilt for her husband. It took several months, but then last week, there was a ring at the doorbell. And visitors carrying a surprise. A red, blue, and gold quilt patterned with stars.
So beautiful. I'm just happy I'm alive.
I'm happy you are too.
2 Indiana volunteers made his quilt, but Charles will never know who they were. It's the foundation's way of keeping focus on the service members. The least they can do for someone who gave so much. Charles's quilt is number 99,837 that volunteers at the Quilts of Valor Foundation have made and delivered. That's the end of our program. Have a great Memorial Day weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: Indiana University's Center for Applied Cybersecurity Research, presenting Security Matters, with tips for improving online security in 3 minutes or less.
Smithville Communications, serving Southern Indiana with high-speed fiber gigabit internet. Smithville Fiber Gigabit Technology. Tap the power.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.